You're listening to the world of business and taxes with Mike Lodge, keeping you informed. So let's get started.
And welcome to another podcast of the WBT. This is Michael Lodge, and we are talking about politics, and we're going to talk about Political Tuesday. That's what I do every single Tuesday. We talk about politics. So what I'm concerned about at the moment is that we have a Congress and we have a United States Senate who are controlled by the GOP, but they can not do anything to get anything done. So we have two big issues that need to be fixed. We have ACA for the healthcare, and we also have the tax reform. Now, you would think that these senators could be smart enough to sit down at a table together and think about how do you fix them both at the same time. And they both have to be fixed at the same time because ACA has 21 taxes within it. 21 taxes within it. That means those taxes have got to be taken out of the ACA, rejected from the ACA, and gone. Okay? And that's been done by Congress. Congress has already done the majority of them, but there's still some left in there. So Congress has already sent a bill to the Senate on ACA reform, and it has also giving it to the Senate. Now the Senate is sitting there, and you've got some moderates in there who want this and want that, and they don't want to come together with the other senators and get something done. Here they have power to get something done, and they sit there like idiots doing nothing. So we have a problem. We have a democracy that is stuck. We have a Congress and a Senate who can't agree on anything so that we can make the system better. It's not right, and we see it every single day. We see the comments coming out of Lindsey Graham. We see them coming out of Senator McCain. We see them coming out on the Democratic side, and no one is sitting down saying, okay, how do we resolve this and how do we get it done? So we have a bunch of idiots in the swamp. In fact, they are leaders of the swamp. They are the swamp people. And they are sitting around that swamp, and they're just going round and round and round, bogging down in the swamp, getting nothing done. Now here is the problem, is that they all made a promise over the last 8 years that they were going to get something done. They said that they were going to repeal ACA. They said they were going to get tax reform done. They said they were going to simplify it. That was the promises that they made to us on public television, on in their conventions, in their speeches, in the talking before Congress, in the committee meetings. That's all that we heard for the last 8 years. And where do we sit? We sit today with nothing. We have no responsibility coming out of the Senate or the Congress. They sit there and do nothing. So, Americans, come on. We were given a promise. They sat there and they talked to us and they convinced us that they were going to get something done. While Obama was president, they made all these grandiose promises of how they were going to repeal. And they went before Congress and they repealed another one, and they repealed it again, and they repealed it again, but it never went to the Senate. It never went to the president to sign because the president was never going to sign it. And it never got over to the Senate because Harry Reid stopped it. So now, out of stupidity, they sit there and do nothing when they've got full power. Let me tell you, if they go on August break before not getting anything done, the American people are now going to say, okay, it's time for new people in the Senate and in the Congress because they can't do anything. We have now got taxation without representation, and we have nothing to show for it. We have no results to show for it. So I'm calling upon the United States Senate and the Congress and the President to get something done before they even think about taking a vacation. So, Americans, get on the phone Start talking to your congressman. Send them tweets. Send them emails. Send them faxes. Send them whatever you can. But they have to get something done. So here we sit. Americans without nothing. Americans believing that this time the system was going to work in our favor. But what we're seeing are moderates and people to the far right and people to the far left who want to get nothing done to benefit the greatness of this country and the greatness of the American people. We have a problem. And we need to get something done. And for Senator McCain and for Senator Graham to be standing there in front of the mic, I mean, honestly, they sound like they are enemies of the state. They sound like they are enemies of the Congress. They sound like they are enemies of the President of the United States. They have been in that swamp for so long that they now think that they control that swamp. They are the leaders of that swamp. They're the ones that put more and more water and more bog inside that swamp so that nothing can get done. Because all they state to the public is negative. And they come up with no solutions. And they say, healthcare is dead. Tax reform is dead. And here the American people are sitting here saying, no, it can't be dead because you promised that you would get something done. And you don't do it. So the American people had better call upon their Congress and say, either you get something done or you're not going to have that job very much longer. We'll find people who want to do that job for the American people. We're the ones that are paying the taxes so that you have that job and you have that retirement and you have your health care and you have whatever and you have that gym inside the Congress. You know what? We pay for that. But I don't think that you deserve to have that job anymore because you break your promises. You break your contract with the American people. America is a country that forgives. And we're always a country that comes to the aid of fellow Americans. We have this spirit within us that says we want this country to be great. We want our children to be great. We want our grandmothers to be great. We want everybody to be great in this nation. But when we have members of Congress that want to stop the process of getting something done and getting something done that's right, then we have an issue where they should not be in that job any longer. So I appeal to each and every single one of you out there, if you're listening to me. Get on the phone today. Get on your Twitter. Get on your Facebook. Get on your LinkedIn. Whatever you can. Get onto these people's pages, these congressional people's pages that are not doing anything, and tell them, get the job done now. You cannot go on vacation until you get this job done. We don't even want to hear you thinking about going on vacation. We don't even want to hear the word vacation. What we want to hear is the words of results getting done. Very simple. Sit down at the table. You have several days before the August break to sit down at the table and hash it out and get it done. Each of you, the leaders of the tax reform committee, go into a room and sit there until you hash things out. People who want to contribute, walk in, hand the chairman a letter of what you think should be done, express it, and then walk out. Have some views and some hearings within the Congress so that you can work together to get things done. Maybe that's too logical because it's not political. Politics is not logical. Politics is maneuvering. And what I'm asking you to do, sit in a room and get the job done. Walk out onto the congressional floor and the Senate floor and say, this is the bill and it is a good bill. America, stand up for your rights. Don't let this be how this country was formed, with taxation without representation, and tea started to fall into the river, into the bay. Because people were upset they were having to pay taxes on something, but they had no one to express their voices in the seat of government. We're at that point today, where our nation has gone so far into the elite side of politics that it has almost destroyed this democracy. And it's happening on the Democratic side, and it's happening on the Republican side. And if they do not make a correction on how they govern, this country will falter. We are tripping right now. We are tripping. We're just about ready to fall because our democracy is faltering at the moment. And I listen to all of these individuals who hate on the left. And I listen to Chelsea in, what is her name? That she thinks she's a comedian, but now she's writing political commentary every single day. And it is hate. Every comment that comes out of her is hate, hate, hate. Everything that comes out of all of CNN and MSNBC and CNBC and whatever the other BBCs and DDC, whatever they are, I don't know, is coming out nothing but hate towards the president and hate towards the American people. Because you have to realize that the American people are the ones that put the president in power. Not the media, not the politically elite, but the American people. So every time that you put down Trump, you're putting down American people at the same time. Not very smart. Tax reform needs to happen, and the reason why it needs to happen is because the tax code is so complicated that when people sit down and sign their tax returns under perjury, they do not know what they're signing because it's so complicated. What could be done on one postcard is done on 30 pages of nonsense. And that 30 pages of nonsense is what gets American people into tax trouble because they don't know what they're signing. We have to make this code more simplified. Very simple, more simplified. We don't need all of these thousands of deductions that are sitting there. We don't need them. We don't need all of the lobbyists trying to get involved so that people don't lose that deduction because it will hurt their industry. We don't need that. We don't need special interest groups anymore taking part in our tax code. This should be a tax code that makes it very simple that we raise this much money to spend and then we have this much expenses to send out. And it has got to cover the expenses. Revenue has got to cover expenses. It has to be balanced. That's what a balanced budget is all about. But instead, we take a tax code and we complicate it with every single law that goes into it. And some of these tax codes are put in at the dead of night in a transportation bill that no one gets to see. And then taxpayers have to live with it. That's how those 21 taxes got snuck into that over 1,000-page ACA bill